I can't. I can't. I can't hear anything.
Well, good morning, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here again. This is where it all started in February of 2020, before, as Buju Banton says, old place was turned upside down, and it has become upside down 2020. But we're very happy because in February, Ren made us the very generous offer to be back here once per month to keep everyone updated on the progress of our plans to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Christina. And as I look out to the Charlestown Pier and to the water across the Narrows, it's very cool, very calm, and we hope that the weather will hold next Saturday when we commemorate in a very big way. You've got a call there?
Good morning, caller. You're on 2020 Vision. You good Ole Days. Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
All right, damn. It's louder. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, so we're very happy to have Nevis's lead poet, Harvey Hendrickson. He has done the signature poem on the Christina. Matter of fact, as I walked up the steps, I got a call from somebody who said, we may yet have another Christina song, a calypso. Somebody has gone back into the woodwork, brought a song up, and we'll be working at Abo's digital studio this week to bring out another tune. And we also have another Christina song of a different genre to drop this morning, done by Jazik Chiverton and Denise Gordon. People will remember Denise Gordon from the opening ceremony of NEPAC, April 28, 2012. They may be in studio. If not, they're going to be calling in on the phone, but for sure, you'll hear the new song this morning. We also got lined up on StreamYard Lofton Sargent, who survived the disaster at age 10. And we will be talking to him, and we'll also be joined later by Mayor Swanston Watts of Jessops, now of Toronto, Canada, whose father perished on the MV Christina. So it's going to be a very exciting day, and of course, your calls will be included. Now, on my way down, I picked up my copy of The Observer, front page, Surviving Two Disasters. And who else but the idyllic figure of the Christina disaster, Ozzie Tyson of Cotton Ground. He was the very first person we interviewed for this project. And you will well remember, within 10 seconds, he took a red rag from his pocket and broke into tears. And we couldn't believe it, all 6'5" of him. And then we subsequently spent 2 hours with him at his Cotton Ground home. And again, he broke into tears. When I saw this article, I gave him a call. And he said, I have the newspaper here right in front of me. Everything that's said in this article, we've got that in the oral tradition. We have documented that. And on the day after next Saturday, which will be August 2nd, Ozzie Tyson will be sitting in that chair, sharing his experiences. And where Harvey Hendrickson is, we'll have the Venerable Franklin Brown. He's going to be 92 years old, September 15th this year, the oldest survivor of the Christina disaster, and he'll be here to share his stories. So we've got a very exciting program lined up, and just in case you're a first-time listener and you don't know about the Christina was a ferry commissioned by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and Anguilla at a cost of $132,500 East Caribbean dollars, built in Demerara, Guyana, arrived in St. Kitts Nevis on Sunday, June 7th, and was pressed into service on the 16th, Monday, the 16th of June. Traveled the islands for 11 years before that fatal journey on Saturday, August 1st. It took with it approximately 233 persons, 163 divisions, 58 petitions, a monstration, and 3 nuns from Canada and the United Kingdom. 156 were women who perished. Only 9 women survived, including 6 divisions. 70 men survived, or 83 men survived, 70 perished. 57 bodies were recovered, 39 buried at Springfield, 13 at Bath Cemetery, and a couple at private cemeteries around the island. 170 bodies were never recovered. And when the search and recovery was abandoned on the Tuesday, after 4 days, the French Coast Guard, the American Coast Guard, advised the government of St. Kitts and Nevis that those bodies would likely end up in the Puerto Rican Trench, the deepest spot in the Atlantic Ocean. So St. Kitts and Nevis has got a graveside just off Puerto Rico, but we've got one out in the water, 12.5 kilometers from St. Kitts, 8.5 kilometers from Nevis, 1.5 kilometers from Nagshet. Harvey Hendrickson, who were you and where were you August 1st, 1970?
Good morning. I was in Nevis. And I wish to thank you for the opportunity for being here and to share indeed my experience with in relation to the Christina disaster. I can recall on that morning, in fact, that I was about to travel to St. Kitts on the same day. And the reason for me going to St. Kitts is because I was, at the time, an apprentice carpenter and wanted to go to St. Kitts to buy some tools. As the old people would say, I was between 2 opinions, whether I should go or I should not go. And somehow I dragged myself lazily that morning. Okay. And at the last hour, or last moment, I decided, well, yes, I will travel to St. Kitts. But the strange thing about that, all the transportation, trucks, as it were, had gone, if I may say it that way. But only one truck, Mr. Maynard from Mount Lee, who was always late. I wanted, that was the only one for me to catch. I was on the hillside tying out my donkey, and I said, you know, maybe I can catch Mr. Maynard and go to town and catch the boat. But the strange thing, Mr. Maynard never drives fast. So by the time I get to town and it will be 8 o'clock, the boat would have been gone. So I decided not to travel. Fast forwarding later that day, those were the days when youngsters played cricket just about everywhere. And so I came through to Newcastle via the pasture, where we would call it, and came to Newcastle, and we were playing cricket. If you know where Skeet's gas station is, just above that, a little to the southeast of it, is where we had one of the many, many playing fields. And so we were there playing cricket in the afternoon. It was my turn to bat. And then there was a chap by the name of Melvin, I think it was Melvin Melvin Weeks. And we used to call him Deming. And he came from the direction of the gas station. And he was what we used to call a joker, a fellow who tell you things that never happened. And so he came to and said, "Are you out here playing cricket? Or you out there knock ball and Christina sink?" Somebody guy said, "Why are you always talking stupidness?" He passed through the field, and in leaving the field, he said, "Mind, I tell her Christina sink, you know." And they said, "You're gonna drown." And the instant he said that, I heard what we call one ball out or bawling. It was a lady, Verna's mother, we call her Auntie Lou. She bawled out, "Lord, Christina sink and Verna drown." And every man, Jack, left the field and head to what we used to call Dunga Street. That was where the old police station was at that crossroad. And people from every part of the village came, and there was much conversation. But the two vehicles that were passing, all of them as it were full, except for this pickup, full, yes. But we stopped the pickup and we asked, "What happened? What happened?" And myself and I believe two other guys got onto the pickup. I don't know how we hold people, but we got onto the pickup and we came into Charlestown. On our way to Charlestown, when we got to West Sea Haven, we saw a guy running without shorts, running, tired, heading, and he said, "Where you going?" He said, we asked him, "What happened?" He said, "The boat sink." And again, where the police station be? Where the police station be? And we tell him, "Okay, go, keep going, don't turn in place, go ahead." And we continued on our way. That was the first actual official report, as it were, our confirmation that Christina sank.
Could you take a pin? We have a call it. It ended. Yes. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so that was your confirmation, and you had a narrow escape, which reminds me of a story which my brother wrote, Hansel, in his book Bamboo Shake, Audrey's Narrow Escape. We've had so many cases of persons who should have been on the boat and ended up not being on the boat. We're going to join in a moment a gentleman who also had a narrow escape. We're going to try to make contact now with Lofton Sargent, originally of Cotton Ground, now of Baltimore. Morning, Lofton. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Steve. You all right?
I'm not hearing him, Almond. He's talking, but I'm not hearing him at the moment.
Okay. You're not hearing me?
We're going to try to just work on that a little bit. We're using technology here. Different headphones.
Let me put my headphones in.
Hello?
1 second. You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, very good. Okay, I wouldn't need my headphone then. Okay, good.
Okay. Now, who was Lofton Sargent, August 1st, 1970?
Repeat that question, Stephen.
Who was Lofton Sargent, August 1st, 1970?
Well, I was a young lad from Cotton Ground, Nevis, who was very independent. I had families both in Nevis and St. Kitts. I was very active playing cricket. Cricket was my first love. So, like the gentleman before indicated, every piece of ground that you can find in the Cotton Ground area, we played cricket. So, I was very young and curious.
Mhm.
You know, I was very much involved in a lot of childhood creativities. You know, as you know, we didn't get the the toys and stuff from the United States and elsewhere. We actually had to create our own. So we were very creative back then also. You know, so and very much family oriented. You know, we were all one big family in the village of Cotton Ground. So those are some of the early memories at that time. And it so happened that because of my aunt, Ophelia Sargent, we call her Babes, she was living in St. Kitts at the time. And that was one of the main reasons for me
I think
traveling
Steve is
from Nevis to St. Kitts
conversation, but we are
around
trying
that
to
time.
work on getting all of us to hear what he's hearing the conversation that he's carrying on. Just to remind you that you're listening to the Good Old Days, and a very special edition today. We are with Steve Manners and Alman Dixon, who are pioneering a very special edition of the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Christina disaster. And as was outlined by Steve earlier, we are trying to link up with a number of persons, survivors, and persons who have experience and would have written and so on in reference to the Christian disaster. Harvey Hendrickson is in the house, Steve is, Alman, and of course, we are here with you, Chesley, Shefton, and myself. Wishing you all a good day.
So we're talking with Lofton Sargent of Cotton Ground and Maryland. How old were you then?
I was 10 years old.
And
It's hard to believe that, but you know, I was 10 years old. I felt that I was a big man at the time, but you know, it was only 10.
okay, and you went to St. Kitts to visit family.
Well, actually, my visit was actually twofold. I went to visit my aunt, and you know, once you're going to St. Kitts, you try to capitalize on anything that you need taken care of that wasn't available in Nevis at the time. So I had
Good morning and good old days.
my bicycle tire needed some repair, so
Hello, good
I
morning.
did that. And also, I needed to get my vaccination because my mom lived in St. Croix
Good
and
morning
it
and
was
good old days.
an upcoming trip, so I had to get my vaccination
Good morning.
at the same time. So
Fine,
those are
fine.
the main
Yourself?
reasons for me going to St. Kitts.
I am.
And while there, you know, my dad, Stanley Frank Jr., he's also
Okay.
from St. Kitts, so give me an opportunity to spend some time with him also.
Okay, very good. Great to have you on.
I think I'm hearing some other talking in the background there.
Only eliminate the cross stuff. That's why people stop. Mhm. Okay. Mhm.
next week.
Well, Saturday, August 1st.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Esther. Thank you. Renford, what we're going to do from here, because there was a bit of a cross talk while I was trying to talk to Lofton, so we're going to go straight with him. We're going to ask the callers to hold until he's finished so that I could complete the interview with Lofton. Okay? All right, so just a little technical glitch, but we're going to go back to Lofton in a minute. Lofton, we're back
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
So tell us about the journey home to Nevis.
Well, yeah, a very interesting afternoon. The Christina was I guess the main mode of transportation between St. Kitts and Nevis during that time. And my aunt took me down to the wharf, and I boarded. Can't remember the approximate time, but usual time between 4:30, I guess.
Well, the boat normally left at 3:30.
3:30, okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So around that time. So one of the things that I realized that afternoon, the Christina left on maybe like 2 or 3 occasions and actually came back to take on more passengers. And the last time it turned back, I remember there was a young girl that they just threw on the boat. And she had one of those big, back then they had those big dollies.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's one young little girl. She was the last person that I recall coming on the boat, and then the boat left. And in traveling that afternoon, it was a beautiful, calm day. So there was no rough waters, very calm. And I experienced that the Christina was very low, very, very low in the water. So you had water kind of seeping through the holes on the side,
Mhm.
which was kind of unusual. So it told me that the boat definitely was overcrowded, and there was no sign or warning of what was to come. I mean, it was just like a regular normal trip. I remember there was a guy in the boat, a guy who was intoxicated, and he kept saying, "There's a black zombie on the boat. There's a black zombie on the boat." And yeah, but some of the elders on the board kept telling him to hush his mouth. He don't know what he's talking about. And around that same time, Captain Pontin was walking around collecting the fares. Actually, he had just collected my money at the time, and he kept going. And all of a sudden, I was actually on the left side of the boat. I was actually, if you're going towards Nevis, I was on the lower level on the left-hand side. So all of a sudden, with no warning, the boat just opened up on the right side, like the ocean just, not the boat, but the ocean just opened up and swallowed the boat. It was one of the scariest and craziest things I've ever experienced in my life. So, but when that happened, it was like pandemonium. You just heard screaming, and everyone's trying to survive. And I don't know how I ended up in the water, because I can't remember doing anything to get off the boat. But I know I ended up in the water, and there was hundreds of screaming passengers all around me, people grabbing on each other and everything. I mean, it was a sight, not a good sight at all. And at that same moment, there was a small ship, fishing boat from the Cotton Run Jessup area that came right on the scene, because I basically could have reached my hand and hold the boat. One of the young guys on the boat, and I can't recall his name, but he was my age, from Cotton Ground, and his father, Walla used to play the kettle drum and the big drum back then. But his son was there, and he pointed me out. He said, "Look, Lofton," because we knew each other very well.
Uh-huh.
And I think what happened with with what was going on, I think they got scared because the older guy on the boat, Peter Turkey, that's Calypsonian Wheeler's father. Yeah, I think he was the older guy on the boat, but the boat just took off. I think they got scared and they just took off. And that made it even worse. You know, the crying and the weeping and wailing continued until the Christina actually took me down. You know, I guess the suction of the boat, as it went down, it took me down. And that's the last thing I remember being above. And then the next thing I remember, my body was floating from below, because I remember seeing the little light. You know, when you're under the water and your body's floating, you can see the sunlight. I remember seeing that little light, and it was like an eternity, me floating, because I guess it was very deep there. So I floated up, came back to the surface, and everything was like an eerie, deafening silence. There was no sign of life around. Everything was gone, you know. While I was in the water, a few bodies floated right in front of me, like I could recall very well. And I kind of stayed afloat, and I believe my age had a lot to do with my survival also, because I didn't understand the impact of what was really going on. Mm-hmm. For me, it was just basically trying to stay afloat or swim, but not knowing where I was swimming to. I was just basically trying to stay alive, but not realizing the true impact of what had happened, because I think if I did at the time, I might have just panicked, and that would have been it for me also. But I was floating. I had everything on, my hard just shoes, all of my clothes. Just exactly how I went on the boat. I was there in the water. And after quite a while, it seemed like an eternity also, I was just in the water, and it was getting dark. The sun was going down, and out of nowhere, I mean, this was like a miracle in the making. Out of nowhere, one of the benches from the Christina, one of the wooden benches, just floated right in front of me. I mean, just out of nowhere. And I always said that my grandfather had just died May of 1970. And very special bond we had. And I always felt his presence. And I just felt that everything that happened that day, I mean, I always have to put God first, but my grandfather, I just felt his spirit was there with me to get me off the boat, to get me from under the Christina when it went down, and also to deliver that bench for me to hold on to. And so I held on to that bench just with dear life. I hold on, and everything was quiet, so there was nobody to call out to. Just in the water by myself, me and this bench, just floating, right? And as it got darker and darker, I started hearing a noise, like an engine. You know, when you're hearing like an engine or something from a distance, you hear that slight noise, and that noise kept getting louder and louder. And I kind of felt a sense of hope at that time. But as it got closer and closer, I just started screaming from the top of my lungs, you know, help, help. And eventually, it was one of those small speedboats from Sinkets that was, I guess, searching for bodies, you know, and they came, and I guess they heard my call, and they came and rescued me. And there was a young lady, you know, I'm not sure how old she was, but there was a lady that they had pulled out from the water. I don't think she survived, but she was barely alive. You can tell that she was breathing, but she probably had taken in water. But she was actually lying in the boat, and then they pulled me in, and then they took me. Back then, what they were doing, all of the survivors, they were taken to the Sea Hunter. The Sea Hunter was a boat from Cliff Dallas, and all of the survivors that they took from the water, they took to the Sea Hunter. So they took me to the Sea Hunter, and when I got there, I mean, it was just such a relief. But I got there, and the first person I saw when they took me there was my uncle, Livingston Sargent. I was like, unbelievable, because I didn't even know he didn't know I was on the boat. I didn't know he was on the boat. and he was badly shaken up. He was badly shaken at the time. It's like, because he was in his prime back then. I didn't know what it took for him to survive at the time, but I kind of learned after. But yeah, he was in bad shape. But very, it was a sad moment, man. And for me, at 10 years old, like I said, I didn't understand the magnitude of what had just happened. All I knew, like days and weeks after, I found out that I had friends that died. My best friend, Laniel Davis, he had died. I found out that Ozzy had lost two brothers, Erskine and Dave, younger brothers, and also his
And,
mom,
and a mother,
all in
yeah.
the same village. I
Mhm.
found out that Vida Jones, another classmate of mine, had died. So many people, perished, and it was so sad. It was like Nevis was in deep mourning. It was deep mourning, and it was just an experience that I think it made me a better person. In terms of appreciating life and trying to do good and give back and anything that's positive. I mean, that's how I've lived my life. One of the other things that came out of this experience for me, you know, I think that was the time and the decision that my mom made that I had to join her in St. Croix.
Mhm.
So I spent 1 year in secondary school in Nevis, and then I was off to St. Croix in early year 1973. And that's from there on. I just tried to make the best of life, and here I am today. Can't believe 50 years lease on my life. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be alive.
Thank you, Lofton, for sharing your amazing story. I know you've been talk in St. Croix, COVID. When are you heading back to the mainland?
Well, tentatively, I'm scheduled to leave on Tuesday because my main residence is in Maryland, the Washington D.C. area, and I've been here for going on 5 months. I've been enjoying every minute of it, but
Mhm.
there comes a time when I just have to decide to go back and take care of some business, and hopefully I'll be back soon.
Okay. Well, when you go back, I want you to take our best wishes to NEVDC, that amazing diaspora group, which honored myself last September, along with Carlisle Powell and Keith Atherton, as you focused on cricket. I haven't heard of any plans for this year because COVID have forbade so many things. But I want to give a suggestion to you to take back to your group that they can have a virtual celebration this year and that the focus could be on Christina and that you could virtually honor Captain Winston Whitman
Okay.
Brown, who's written 3 books, and
Uh-huh.
Alman Davis, who has been a silent giant on this project. And also that you could donate a plaque, as you did to me, to the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society in memory of the 233 persons who perished. How about that?
That sounds like an excellent idea, and I'm hoping that some of the members are also listening, and could take that recommendation back to the body. But you mentioned Dr. Whitman Brown, because I remember that first book that he wrote, because what I realized after the Christina disaster, a lot of us, including myself, we try to forget that experience and kind of move on. But that book evoked a lot of memory. I mean, that is what really got me back in touch with Nevis and also the impact of the Christina. After reading that book, you know, it kind of opened my eyes of the impact that the Christina disaster had and the Nevis society, you know. I mean, we lost so much that day, you know, so many brilliant minds went down on the Christina. And Nevis, to this day, I don't think Nevis have ever really recovered. You know, we moved on and tried to make, but Nevis, we're still seeing some of the remnant of the impact of Christina and Nevis to this day.
Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you
your
so
amazing
much for
story.
sharing your amazing story.
You're welcome, man. Have a great day, right?
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Now, during that interview,
Now,
we were joined Winston Crook, Terry Andrews, and the legendary musician, producer, Jazik Triverton
is
also bringing
an offering
to commemorate
Christina.
Good morning, Jazik.
Good morning, Jazik. Get a little microphone to the microphone.
Greetings, everyone.
Nice to have you.
Nice to have you.
You had to get out of your garden.
Join us.
Tell us about the new song
that you're offering for the 50th anniversary.
Well, a few weeks ago, the vocalist Denny's gone. She came to me and she wanted to write something for Christina because I think family. She lost someone in Christina. She's not here right now. She could better speak to that. So she's like, I'm like, that's a great idea. So we both conjure up the feelings and emotions, loss, and compose the song.
Okay, well, we previously had a song by Ronnie. It's a calypso. We had a song from Hansel Manners. It's a folk song. Tell us about the genre you chose.
I more quoted from a gospel and more pensive spiritual side. I heard the calypso version. When I hear calypso, I want to dance. So I had to, draw from the energies from the spiritual, take the tempo down. More like someone like Dennis, who's just a wonderful vocalist, have the gospel energy, to bring forth the feeling and emotion of the loss. It was before my time, but I still felt I heard my mom speaking about Christina, so I felt that she gave a counsel that she being in syndicates and the bodies would come over and they would bring them up on the docking syndicates, and so she gave me that history of what went down in the time before me.
Okay, tell us a bit about Denny Gordon. She has an amazing voice.
Yes. She got stuck there from Corona, so
you decided to get occupied.
It's a great, everything in divine order. So she's here, so I'm like, perfect time. So it worked really well that she was on island. And, she could lend her voice to something like this.
Yes,
been 50 years.
And why do you think it's important for artists? We've got Harvey Hendrickson here. Now you've got yourself. Why do you think it's important for artists to get involved in commemorations like these?
Well, songs have a tendency to last, hundreds of years. So, I mean, it's not my first time. Like, at one point, the government asked me to compose something for independence, like the 25th anniversary of independence. So I had to rise to the challenge then. So, and this is one of those moments as well. They're like, challenge your energy, challenge your talent to compose something to touch people inside. So I think I could rise to that challenge.
All right, give us a song. Touch people's lives.
Okay. I didn't come 100% fit, but another people before I let go.
Who knew when they left that day they were never coming back this way to be cherished every day.
Steve.
You remember cherish me.
Steve, you have a headphone.
You have an extra one? You have an extra one?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me it. It's not long, eh? Just pass it to this. Pass this to them. Very short, long as I Still only number one, number one, number four. Okay, this is your headphone. Yeah.
Wow, let's get a drum roll. Winston, I see you shaking your head throughout. Your thoughts?
Wow, that's amazing work.
Thank you very much.
And really does tugs the heartstrings. It really does. It was, obviously, it's 50 years ago was a critical time for the Federation, and particularly in Nevis, with that sense of loss that continues to this day, as Mr. Sargent there has just detailed. And I think we've done a fabulous honorific between you and Denise to capture that feeling, and I applaud you both. Thank you.
Ren for your music man, your thoughts?
Well, Steve, Jazik is what you call a genius. I've known him for quite some time and have drawn from him, unknowing to himself. We've been very good friends for many years, and I am not surprised. I'm sorry that you guys have to be caught off guard like this, but it's just the man. He's a genius, and when he puts his hands to anything in reference to music, it just turns to go. So, Jazik, thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, I had the pleasure of interviewing Denise after her performance at the opening of NEPAC, April 28, 2012. And I've said since then that she has the greatest voice. The only person who supersedes her It's Whitney Houston. Well, I know she. I've heard her sing those songs. Harvey, you're artistic as well. Your thoughts?
I think the message is profound, and I rather like the latter part of the song, the words which seem to suggest that yes, Christina is in our hearts, the memories are there, and yes, sail on, sail on,
Yeah.
sail on, mama, sail on, sister, sail on, brother, sail on. You're safe now.
Hmm. I wondered about that, Jazik. The boat is lying in 71 feet of water, but you're saying sail on.
Because well, musically, they'll join the chorus of our ancestors. Yes.
Okay.
Been sailing on. So,
Beautiful.
the energy just exchanged.
Beautiful.
Put that line in, but
Yeah.
yeah. I might
Yeah.
just, well, this is the demo, so I might have an edited version.
Yeah.
With the children choir at the end of it. It's incomplete, actually.
So this is just a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's
So we have
amazing.
children choir to put in and stuff, so.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You too, you're not necessarily musically minded, but your thoughts?
Excellent. Excellent is the best I can say. I mean, I listened, and I mean, it keeps giving me shivers. Beautiful, beautiful, and I mean, she was going to say it's not completed yet, so I could imagine that the completed work is going to be something awesome, something to look forward to. But I love it. I love it.
This is maybe like 4 hours of work, like writing it
Let me just
from
say,
scratch and then recording it. So it's just a demo. Like,
Yeah.
And then he's like far from our peak. This is like 12 o'clock in the night after we worked for like 4 hours. We actually had to like demo it so we could have a,
So the best is yet to come.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she hasn't sang it yet. This is a warm up.
Oh, amazing.
when you have songs like
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have Camilla Lowell, so she's gonna be on the back of vocal team.
Beautiful.
So just as an indication of where we're going. So that's what I was saying.
Awesome.
Yeah, Camilla and Luke, we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I already spoken to them about it.
And the name of the song is Sail On? Sail On.
I think
when you have a song like this and you have something that like a chant, which makes it catchy, which makes it gives something to everybody. You may not be able to learn all the words, the verses and everything, but there's something that you can run with that is significant and that speaks volumes to the whole caption of the song. Sail on. I don't know if you were able to identify where the choruses and where the repetition comes in, but that's the part that is really meant to grasp the attention of everybody. Correct, Jazzy?
Yeah, sail on.
Sail on.
Yes.
Sail on.
I think it really draws you into a real reflective mood.
Mhm,
And that's what I love about it. Your mind go back and you just absorb the emotions and so on. It's
And the fact that we never, well, when we was writing, we were thinking, like, their sacrifice, we never had anything like this happen again. I don't think in 100 years we could ever have, because we learned. So we wanted to participate, we learned from the people who lost. So and in the ending, I think in the last bridge.
And the part which says, remember them, I think it is worthy to know that the remembrance of them will be the stories they told us when we were with us. The things that Mama did, my uncle did, my brother did, the times we laughed and played, fine, we capture that as well.
Well, Jazik, I know you've got another appointment. It's a very busy Saturday for you. I want you to drop it for us one last time. You wanted to say something, apparently, before that? And then once we've heard it, Jazik will make his exit. Terry will take his place.
Christina, sons and our daughters, disciples to martyrs, we remember you. On that fateful day, back in 1970, the first day Saturday. People gathered excitedly, remembering our victory. Emancipation celebrations brought our liberty. Who knew when they left that day they were never coming back this way? So we cherish every day to all of our loved ones. We seem to remember, cherish your memories forever and ever. Christina, Christina, suns and our daughters, by the still waters, we remember you. Time is short, life is so precious. Straight from the heart, you're missed by all of us. Stars up in the sky, shows that you're waiting there. Resting in the arms of God, by grace will meet you there. Your light shines through space and time. Guide our footsteps down the line. Your love is high, that binds you all of our love. We seem to remember.
No,
We cherish your memories forever and ever.
All right, you take some down, and then we got a call coming in. Gone? Okay.
By the still waters, we remember you. Oh, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers, so many gone, but you never forgotten you. Song for you. Oh, teachers, preachers, nurses, and doctors, and men the courage of the brave survivors. Too, we honor you. All of our loved ones sing to remember. Cherish your memories forever and ever. Christina, Christina, sons of our daughters, beside the still waters, we remember you. We say, sing on, we remember, shine on, we never forget you, sing on, we remember you. Oh, sing on. We remember, shine on, we never forget you, sail on. We remember you.
Awesome. Jazik, final word from you.
It's a pleasure being here with you, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for taking me from my garden.
Okay, let you go back to produce food after producing good music. Sweet potato, and now we got sweet music. Now we link with you again tomorrow.
Yes, I'll bring Denny's this time.
Denny's will be there. We're going live on Win FM on St. Kitts at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Okay, well, thank
I
you.
won't get the time.
Thank you so much for coming.
Bless up everyone.
Thank you. Now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to hear the poem by Harvey Hendrickson and Myra Swanston in Toronto, Canada. Once that poem is over, give us a call, please. We're awaiting your call. Okay, so we got another person in Canada who's part of. By the way, we're canceled for this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Clive
okay.
said he meant to call you
Well,
because
Clive's
you were
gonna call
supposed to
me.
be on.
Yes, he's going to call me at 1.
It's not going to happen.
Not gonna happen, okay.
No. Win FM going for some changes.
Okay.
But they're going to have us same place by Jazik, 5 o'clock tomorrow. If that's okay with you all.
Yeah.
You could?
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah.
You could do it 5 o'clock tomorrow at Jazik.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, so you'll be ready with your poem. And then we're going to entertain the girl from Canada. I'll introduce you. Oh, I'll indicate. and then we don't have to stop at 11, so we have time.
Okay, no problem.
We could go. We could, right? We'll go a little bit beyond. Make sure keep your microphone close to you. You're being a bit far from it. Any extra headphones for no? You can share it. Oh well, Allman has gone with his camera, so if you wanted to change, well, no, you could have switched over if you wanted to, but no, it's okay. I think. It's good. Okay. Boston was something else, man. Man.
So when you're ready, Steve.
Incredible.
Whenever. Huh? Yeah, do that. Yeah. Such a packed program, but we understand. You got to acknowledge your viewers.
My God.
Okay, and so we are back. And so before we move on with Harvey, just let me recognize some of our class members. As you say, we are having class here on a Saturday. I'll skip the comments, but I'll just recognize the persons that we have on the Facebook page, on the Facebook wall. I'm seeing Caroline Clark, and she's in Oklahoma. Roslyn Hill, Ashburn, Liebert. I'm seeing Jackie Herbert. Adele is there. Ian Taylor is there. Sharon Pemberton. I'm seeing Brendely Williams, who is presently in St. Croix, I think, who is one of those who been held up by COVID. She went to visit her brother, and then COVID decided, well, you have to make the visit a little longer. Her brother and her dad, yes. Shelley Cross is there. Good morning, Shelley. I'm seeing Marsha Curtis Stanley, Shoya Lawrence. Melissa Pemberton is there as well. I'm seeing Garrett Williams. Good morning, Garrett. You'll have to tell us a little bit more about you. I'm seeing Toya Smitten, Rosita Pontine. Oh, that's a very interesting name.
Captain Pontine.
This might be one connected with Captain Pontine. And she says, good morning. And she's watching. Rhonda is there as well. Rhonda has been in. She loves the song. Livy is there. Pedro Broadbelt, one of our regulars. I own a door. Valerie Boring, and she comments that it's a beautiful song. And I just want our listeners to know that we have not really been, it's not that we have been ignoring your comments and your contribution, but the show is so packed. Yes. And so we get in a mood to focus. And here we are. Sherilyn Williams, I'm saying good morning to you. Marcella B. Queely Jones, one of our
poets
as well.
Poets, yeah.
Writer and yes, poet, yes. She did a few anthology of poems I can recall. David Griffin, who is big enough. Jazik, Sylvia Archibald is present as well. Lofton Sargent is also on the wall. I'm seeing my dear sister, good friend and classmate, Agnola Hendrickson. I know my niece Tammy Lake is there as well, among others. Let me see if any other name. Ermin Farrell. Good morning, Ermin. Puleman David Sr., very regular, and Everton Powell. He says Obi's here.
The BBB. Yeah, he's definitely connected with the NFDC.
I hope he heard you.
And Rona and Denzel's brother, Stanley, Wall Stanley. A lot of good folks in the DMV.
Okay. And then there's one more, Merklin Butler is on. I'm saying good morning to all you folks. Like I said, we have a very packed program. Maybe at the end, if we have a few more minutes, I might come back and see what comments are still there. But at this time,
yeah, Merklin Butler, of course, of River Path, not too far from us. She lost her brother Monroe on the Christina as well. So she's a constant.
Muslim Brown, family Muslim Brown.
Mary Brown, Nevis centenarian. Yeah, you know it's Martlin Brown, but now Martlin Butler. No.
Good morning, Madeline.
Yep.
Let me greet on behalf of my sister, Elvira, who was in Nevis. We grew up together and we're very good friends. I'm sure she's listening as well. And Llewellyn, we're over there in Miami. Good morning to you and thank you all for listening.
Harvey, before you go into the poem, the background to it.
It would have been maybe August, yeah, 2011, I believe, that there was a regular celebration for and remembrance for the Christina disaster.
Avi, I'm going to ask you to treat the mic the way you treat your wife.
Hug it close.
I can't say it any better than that.
And having been there over the years, I've witnessed and experienced the persons and their. It's okay?
No, it's not okay.
Oh.
Steve, talk a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I think there's a problem with the headphones, with the microphone that we're trying to sort out. And don't forget Mayor Swanston Watts in Toronto, Canada. Once this poem is over, give us a call, please. We were waiting your call. Terry, you've been very quiet this morning. Your thoughts on what has happened so far?
Good morning, Steve, and good morning, everyone. I'm just honored to be a part of that. I'm really here as, partner with Winston and the Swimming Federation. So just excited to be a part of this celebration and memory. So just amazing with Jazik and his music and all that you and Alden have done. I bow down to you guys and all your efforts and what you put into making this 50th memorial something truly historic and memorable. So bringing all these parties together.
I'm humbled. We're humbled. Harvey, I think we've got the glitches sorted.
So the thought behind this poem came about, I think it's 2011, when I would have been at the ceremony to mark the celebration of the anniversary of the Christina. Now, what was surprising in the first place was that there were a few people in relation to the years past. And at the end of the celebration, there's a part which says, of the service which says that persons were to lay wreath in memory of the departed souls. And to this day, I still do not understand why no wreaths were laid. And the words that came to me are the very last words of this poem. I said it so many times that day that I had to pen these lines. The words were, my heart sank like the MV Christina. That is what caused me to write this poem.
Okay, we'll take the poem after the call, Harvey. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Good morning. You're on the Good Old Days.
Oh, so nice to have you. So, Harvey, we will hold for a bit while we entertain our guest in the diaspora. Could you tell everybody who you are? Yes, for those who don't know you, a little description of who Myra is. Yeah, okay. It's a big family. Tell us how many. Okay, tell us the numbers. Tell us how many siblings. How many children? Uh-huh. How many? Uh-huh. And your father was one of the dear souls who went down on the Christina. Take us back to August. Give us his name and his age at that time. Mm-hmm. 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 Mhm. Hmm. Hmm.